Okay, so after talking about the setter, it's time to move on to the next magic method called get or getter. So for those of you who have worked with Laravel, one of the most famous frameworks out there for the PHP, or other frameworks for that matter, this is going to be interesting and illuminating for you. So bear with me, please. So basically, if we go to the famous sum class example of ours, so if we say public function get as a magic method and make it blank, and if I create an object from the sum class and var on the class and name, what do you think we get out of this? Let's find out. Okay, so I forgot to put the key in here because get will always take the key argument. So it's null, right? If I make this comment, it's still null. And that's obvious because we haven't declared the name property. So if we do Daniel, for instance, we get the Daniel. And if we uncomment this, if we uncomment the getter, we still get Daniel because we haven't added any functionality or logic in the getter method. But that's the basic idea of the getter, with this syntax and getting the key and some logic inside it. So let's move on to have some logic inside the getter. So for the index 1, we're going to have a user class with a protected data collection. In the data collection, we may have something like this: first name, and please guys, see these kind of data as if it's been retrieved from the database. So our example is simple, so we are hard coding this, but let's assume that. So I'm going to name this first and last name. Stupidly enough, I'm going to name it last. Okay, so a common functionality for the user class is to combine these two and get the full name out of these two attributes. So that's going to be easy. You can, for instance, trim this data first name, of course, and let's put it like this, and this data last name, right? And for now we don't need the get, but let's have the user object new op from the user class and var dump the user full name to see what it's like. So index 1, and yeah, I get the full name. But there are some better ways, some more OOP-like ways that we can do it. For this particular example, I'm going to add the public function get with the key and add some very, very simple functionality. I'm just saying that if this data key is exist, better. If not, please return null. And be aware that this coalescent operator is only allowed from PHP 7 up. So that's one thing to notice. So what happens right now, so it's better if I move it up there. not for the functionality reason, but just for the style. So this way, I can simply act with these kind of data as if they are attributes, right? Why is that? Because I'm actually here, I'm actually checking as if the data key, like data first name, data last name, is exist. If it does, then better yet. If it doesn't, so it's return no. But if I run this, yeah, if I run this, I get the same result, right? But what if I want this to be run like this, right? It's not going to uh, give us the result, but you get the idea from the example above that we can simply use the get functionality in the getter to get some more elegant coding. But let's get into the next example, which is going to be a little bit more complicated and maybe interesting than this one. So let's first copy paste this in order to save some time. All right. Yeah, let's do something else. Actually, if I do this the old way, for instance, say data and first name and data last name, if we have this, and here's what is interesting, and here's what you may have seen in the Laravel. So I'm going to create a method named public function get full name attribute. You may have seen it. Yeah, it's pretty familiar with those of you who have worked with Laravel before. It's getter. It's some kind of getter for the attributes, for the properties in the model, or for the class that you have. Okay, inside this, I'm going to simply copy paste the one we had before. But, okay, so let's actually run this. Okay, we get the appropriate result. But what if I want to act like this and get the full name as an attribute? What happens then? So it's giving us the null because the full name is not an attribute. The full name is an method. So it doesn't matter if I comment this out or not. But the thing is that we have to put some other logic, some more complex logic in the getter of ours. And bear with me, it may seem complicated, but I can actually explain it after. So if method exit, then this is some kind of built-in method in the PHP. This is the object of our class, and the method, which is going to be get concatenated with UC first key concatenated with attribute. And if it does exist, so we are going to just return this and method like this. And this is some kind of OOP thing that we have. So what happens now? So what happens now is that we have just created these kind of format in our getter and told the class if the getter with this method get full name attribute exists, just return the method. So we can have these kind of functionalities, and if I run this, yeah, I get some kind of error, and it's null. It shouldn't be null. Maybe, yeah, that's because I have to actually use it like this. So if I use it like this, I get the first last. Why did I didn't get the previous one? Because our getter is having another functionalities. It's not like this anymore. So I have to use the data and the key. So what is going on is that we are using the full name method as an attribute because we, in the getter of our class, which is a magic method, of course, we are saying that if this method exists, this refers to the class. The method is like this. If you even word on this, and maybe I should, just to make this clear, let me word on this. Okay, as you can see, it's get full name attribute, the same one as we have in here. So the second I put the full name in here with this format, of course, if I put it in this format, uh, get the, yeah, because it's UC first, and it's going to actually change it to this format as well. So UC first is another built-in functionalities to make the string first character uppercase. So if I want to break this, I can say name like this. It doesn't break, and it's very confusing, but you get the idea out of this, because yeah, if the method exists like this, get full name attribute, you can use the functionality of this method as an attribute in here. So we can add another thing, like for instance get random name attribute, and here I'm just returning let me just make this okay. Get public function get random name attribute. I can just return, for instance, some random thing. How can I use it in here? I can say random name, and if I say random name, I get the attribute. But if I say anything that we don't have the method for it, we get null, surely enough. So with this functionality, I can have as many getters as I want. So this will make my life a little bit easier. And that's the getter magic method.